A new manager, a new era, but somehow, even bigger problems at Real Madrid. Once, this club stood on top of the football world with an aura of invincibility, a place where legends were made and silverware was a birthright. But now, Real Madrid finds itself in the middle of a full-blown identity crisis, and Xabi Alonso, the man entrusted with the rebuild, might just be in over his head. He's inherited more than just a team. He's inherited the expectations of 1 billion fans, the shadows of dynasties past, and worst of all, a divided locker room still scarred by the chaos that ended Carlo Ancelotti's second reign. Alonso's challenge? Navigating a minefield of player egos, tactical mismatches, and the very debate that cost his predecessor his job: how to make peace between two of football's brightest stars, Kylian Mbappe and Vinicius Jr. And if that wasn't hard enough, he's also tasked with rebuilding the squad's tactical DNA, fitting new arrivals into the system while phasing out club veterans, and solving a problem that's been quietly snowballing cramps. It sucks to be Xabi Alonso right now. In most clubs, a few bad results would be frustrating. At Real Madrid, they're catastrophic, and nothing spells disaster louder than the 4-0 humiliation at the hands of PSG. Yes, 4-0 sounds bad, but the reality? It could have been worse. Courtois pulled off 3 world-class saves just to keep the score respectable. PSG dominated, and truthfully, they let their foot off the gas in the second half. If they hadn't eased up, the scoreboard might have read 6 or 7. And amid the wreckage, one moment stuck out more than any other: PSG's third goal. A passage of 15 uninterrupted passes slicing through Real Madrid's midfield like a hot knife through butter. This wasn't just a goal, it was a message. A dismantling, a warning shot to Alonso and Madrid. Whatever tactical identity you thought you were building, it's not enough. Real Madrid no longer feels like Real Madrid. For Xabi Alonso, that game was more than a loss. It was a lesson. It resurrected the same debate that haunted Ancelotti, the Mbappe versus Vinicius Jr. conundrum. When Vinicius is absent, Mbappe thrives. He has space to operate, freedom to drift. He scores, he creates. But when both start together, it's as if the balance of the entire team unravels. One shines while the other fades. And instead of synergy, there's friction. Alonso tried what Ancelotti did: accommodate both. PSG punished him for it. The irony? This wasn't how things were shaping up a few weeks ago. After a shaky 1-1 draw against Al Hilal in the opening game of the Club World Cup, something clicked. Alonso adjusted, he evolved, the team started taking shape. He began experimenting with tactical setups. From a traditional 4-3-3 against Al Hilal, he moved to a 4-2-3-1 against Pachuca. Then came the bold switch to a 3-at-the-back system, a fluid 3-4-3 that produced a dominant 3-0 win over RB Salzburg. Against Juventus, he opted for a more conservative 3-5-2. It paid off, a gritty 1-0 win. And against Borussia Dortmund, he stuck with the same system, and Madrid looked like the better side for most of the match. Sure, the 3-2 scoreline suggests a tight contest, but the truth is, Madrid controlled that game. It was only in the final moments that they collapsed, conceding twice in quick succession. Before the PSG nightmare, Alonso was riding a wave of tactical momentum. 4 wins, 1 draw, and more importantly, clarity. He was starting to carve out his vision of Madrid. But then came the semi-final, the exposure, the unraveling. PSG didn't just win. They dismantled a system Alonso had spent weeks building. And in doing so, they exposed the fragility of his project. Now the big question: what does Alonso do next? Does he bench one of his 2 superstars to restore tactical balance? Does he return to the shape that worked during that 4-game winning streak? Or does he double down, tweak the system, and try to make Mbappe and Vinicius coexist in harmony? The truth is, there's no easy answer. Every choice has consequences. And this is Real Madrid. You don't get time to figure things out. For Xabi Alonso, the dream job is starting to look like a poisoned chalice. He was brought in to rebuild a legacy, but unless he solves these problems fast, he could be remembered as the man who got swallowed by it. Subscribe to The Athletic Journal for more deep dives, untold stories, and tactical breakdowns from the world of football. Just when Xabi Alonso thought he'd found clarity, the puzzle got even more complicated. In that brief stretch of stability, something promising had emerged. Alonso used the same formation for 3 consecutive games, a rare sign of consistency, and Real Madrid looked sharper, more synchronized, more like a team with purpose. But here's the twist. In those 4 matches, neither Kylian Mbappé nor Vinicius Jr. started together. Mbappé, recovering from a gastrointestinal issue, had been absent, and in his absence, Real Madrid flourished. When Mbappé returned, he picked up right where he left off, scoring on his comeback against Borussia Dortmund. That goal may have dazzled, but it did more than that. It tempted Alonso, seduced him back into a dilemma he briefly escaped. And so, against PSG, both Mbappé and Vinicius Jr. were handed starts, for the first time under Alonso. And the result? Déjà vu. The same problems that haunted Ancelotti's system re-emerged like ghosts. Both players drifted into the same spaces, getting in each other's way. The pressing? Non-existent. Alonso was seen shouting instructions at Mbappé from the touchline, urging him to engage, to work, but the disconnect was clear. Alonso sacrificed his carefully crafted structure to accommodate both superstars. The price? A 4-0 loss. So now he knows. He can't play both. Not like this, but it's no longer just a Vinicius Mbappé dilemma. Now, there's a third wheel. Enter Gonzalo Garcia. When Mbappé was sidelined and Endrick wasn't available, Alonso had a decision to make: cobble together a makeshift striker solution or turn to the academy. A part of him that once lived in La Fábrica made the bold call: give the kid a chance. Gonzalo Garcia didn't just take the opportunity, he exploded onto the scene. 5 goal contributions in 6 games. Goals against Juventus, against Dortmund, against Salzburg. But more than the goals, it was the way he played. Alonso, in a post-match interview, compared his movement and instinct to that of Raúl. High praise. But even that doesn't tell the full story. Because Gonzalo Garcia wasn't just scoring, he was pressing, chasing, hustling, leading. In the match against Pachuca, Madrid went down to 10 men early. Yet by halftime, Garcia had the most dribbles, the most tackles, 3 ball recoveries, and an assist. Let's be honest, in just 49 minutes, the kid did more pressing from the front than Real Madrid's entire attack did in the last 9 months. Alonso saw it. The fans saw it. Suddenly, he wasn't just a promising defensive. And now, that solution is turning into a headache. Alonso now has a trio of forwards, Garcia, Vinicius, and Mbappé, who each bring brilliance but not necessarily balance. He tried squeezing all 3 into the scene against PSG. The result? Gonzalo Garcia was pushed wide right, away from his natural position. It didn't work. The midfield lost control. The press fell apart. The structure collapsed. The nightmare isn't over yet, because there are even more names in this attacking carousel. What about Rodrigo? Alonso made it clear in his opening weeks. Rodrigo was part of his vision. He even said he had a plan for him. But at the Club World Cup, Rodrigo started just once, the opener against Al Hilal. After that, his involvement was symbolic. A 23-minute cameo against RB Salzburg, 4 minutes against Dortmund, 0 minutes in the rest of the tournament. And when Alonso was asked about Rodrigo's absence, his answer was brutally honest. He just preferred other profiles. Brahim Diaz, rotational. Endrick, still recovering. But when he returns, what happens? Will he even find space in this chaos, or will Real Madrid send him out on loan? Alonso's attacking conundrum isn't just about tactics anymore. It's about promises made, careers on the line, and the future of the club's identity. There are simply too many options, and not enough harmony. And just when you thought it couldn't get any messier, the problems in defense start knocking. After the PSG collapse, attention shifted to the backline, specifically the shambolic display from Antonio Rudiger and Raúl Asensio. Both made costly errors within 30 minutes. It was a defensive disaster class. Alonso has Dean Howson, a promising option, but now reports are surfacing. Ibrahima Konate from Liverpool is on Madrid's radar. Why? Because Alonso isn't convinced. He wants physicality. He wants composure. He wants a backline he can trust when the pressure mounts. Academy player, he was a tactical solution. But can Xabi Alonso survive the Real Madrid machine? He's composed, calm under pressure, good on the ball. And that's great, in isolation. But when you zoom out, Real Madrid's defensive unit is starting to look overcrowded. With Antonio Rudiger, Dean Howson, Raúl Asensio, Eder Militão, Jacobo Ramon, and David Alaba all already in the squad, the idea of adding another center back, even someone as complete as Ibrahima Konate, feels like tipping the scale too far. That's 7 central defenders. It's a squad-building dilemma Alonso has to solve. not just tactically, but emotionally. Because it's not just about who plays, it's about who sits. And at a club like Real Madrid, where egos are as sharp as tactical boards, benching the wrong player can unravel a locker room faster than any bad result. But the center-back crisis is just the tip of the iceberg. On the flanks, the focus quietly shifts to right-back, and another unavoidable debate Alonso would have preferred to delay. Dani Carvajal is back. After recovering from a brutal ACL injury, Carvajal made a short cameo against PSG. He's expected to ramp up minutes in the coming weeks. And as he regains match sharpness, Alonso faces yet another unenviable choice: Carvajal or Trent Alexander-Arnold. Both are decorated, both are experienced, but they offer different things, and Alonso must now pick what he's willing to sacrifice. If he wants attacking creativity, overlapping runs, and whipped crosses from deep, he picks Trent. If he wants positional awareness, experience in La Liga, and defensive discipline, he picks Carvajal. Unless, of course, he's planning a tactical tweak to squeeze both into the same XI, which frankly would be madness. One area where Alonso has struck balance, though, is in midfield. At the Club World Cup, Adiguola was nothing short of sensational. Forget the goals or final passes, it was the fluidity, the vision, the way he dictated rhythm. His link-ups with Trent Alexander-Arnold and Federico Valverde gave Real Madrid a tempo they had been missing. He didn't just fit in, he elevated the system. And yet, even with that revelation, Madrid isn't satisfied. After the PSG loss, a game where the midfield collapsed, the board is reportedly still hunting for a tempo-controlling midfielder, another deep-lying orchestrator. And as Alonso prepares for the second half of the campaign, he'll have to do it without Jude Bellingham. Bellingham is set to undergo shoulder surgery. He'll miss 2 to 3 months of action. That's a huge blow, not just in terms of quality, but leadership, mentality, drive. For a manager trying to embed a new structure, losing your most influential Mourinho, Zidane, Ancelotti, their legacy wasn't rooted in tactics. It was relationships, man management, emotional intelligence. Tactical geniuses like Rafa Benitez, Julen Lopetegui, and Santiago Solari, they came in with systems, plans, philosophies, and left without silverware. This is the paradox of Real Madrid. It is a club that craves tactical identity, but has a long history of rejecting it when things go south. And unfortunately for Xabi Alonso, he leans toward that second group. He made his name at Bayer Leverkusen by building structure, pressing systems, fluid passing networks, more. This is Madrid, where tactics come second to trophies. The story of Xabi Alonso and Real Madrid is just beginning, but it's already hanging by a thread. Can he fix the Mbappe puzzle? Can he keep the locker room intact? Can he win, not just games, but hearts? The next few months will decide everything.